Looking more broadly at the relationship between science and religion, some religious leaders try to reinterpret scripture to match scientific discoveries, perhaps to make their beliefs seem more credible. Now, in your view, should religion try to match science to be credible, or should science and religion stay in separate domains?
Science doesn't need to care an ounce about religion. Science can completely ignore religion. Religion, on the other hand, would be wise to pay attention to and accept science, because science is how we know what is true about the physical world. So religion ought to be molding itself around scientific truths, or it will go extinct, ideally. I mean, I think that there are plenty of religious people who accept science, and that is absolutely not problematic societally. But I think that the decline that we're seeing in numbers of hyper-religious people is, partly due to the success of science in explaining certain things and providing, a coherent worldview about natural phenomena, everything around us, who we are, why we're here, etc. So religion has to kind of evolve or die, and science doesn't have to care about religion. Science can be understood by a religious person and an a-religious person alike. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Now, moving on to the next question. You've done an amazing job debunking pseudoscience, especially when people use scientific language to make false or misleading claims sound legitimate. So, what is the best way to fight pseudoscience when people misuse scientific terms to sound credible?
If you're lucky enough to be interacting with them face to face, it's just a Socratic method, right? Ask them to define. So the only time I've been able to do this, I had one with a flat earther named Lord Jamar, and he was just used. All I had to do was ask him the definitions of the words he was using, and he just crumbled because he doesn't know what those words mean. And that's a very effective way to show people how stupid some of these people are, because they literally don't. I mean, and we're talking about words like weight. He didn't know what weight was. Oh my God. He doesn't know what a day is derived from. That it derives from one time, the Earth spinning one time on its. It's real, yeah, and I do this with my Terrence Howard debunks. Like I haven't had the privilege of interacting with him face to face, but if I did, this is all I would be doing. It's like, what does that word mean? What does that word mean? Yeah. Well, it doesn't mean that. Let's look it up. So why are you saying it means that? It's really all it takes,
Yeah, and often pseudoscientific speakers come across as confident and charismatic, which can make them very persuasive. So do you think science communication and education can really compete with that kind of emotional appeal?
It has to. It has to, or we're doomed. We have to figure it out. And so this is why I go to universities and I give talks encouraging students to consider science communication as a career path, right? There's not enough of us. It's still a nascent field. And it's almost entirely within the entrepreneurial space at the moment. I'm an entrepreneur, but in the future, maybe there could be some kind of infrastructure developed to encourage more people to go into SciComm as a career, because we need, right? I have a certain way that I do it, and it is effective for certain people, and then completely ineffective for other people, right? Some people, I'm very, I don't mince words, right? I'm very direct in the way that I communicate, and I call a spade, I call a fraud, and that works for a certain proportion, and then other people just get turned off and get more deeply entrenched into their delusions. So we need somebody else to get those people. We need a different style, and then a third style. We need every single different kind of style, every tone, every type of person, speaking to every demographic, in every language, on every platform, right? We need people like you doing this in Indonesia. We need people doing this in India. We need people doing this in Brazil, in Portuguese. And it's got to be on YouTube, and it's got to be on TikTok. It's got to be on Twitter. It's got to be everywhere. Right? We cannot have any place for these frauds to hide. We just have to dogpile them with the same fervor and tenacity and passion that they have in trying to defraud the public.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? And your work clearly takes a lot of time and energy, especially when facing criticism or backlash from people who strongly believe in pseudoscience. or fringe ideas. So what motivates you to keep making this kind of content? And what message would you give to people in places like Indonesia who are trying to promote real science?
Yeah. So, I mean, so the motivation for me is twofold. Number one, this is how I make a living. So I'm not going to pretend I'm not financially motivated. I make pretty good money on YouTube making both my academic content and the debunking content. So that's obviously an enormous motivating factor.
Yeah.
But I also have I feel a tremendous sense of duty because this is not, there's not enough activity in this space. The charlatans outnumber the debunkers 100 to 1. There's not enough of us doing this work, and I know that it makes an impact because if people are on the fence and they're sort of flirting with an idea and they're not presented with any content or any information that runs contrary to that grifter, it just makes it so much likely that they're going to fall for it. I get a lot of messages saying, oh, I almost got sucked into the suspicious observers cult, but I saw your video exposing them as a fraud and all the schemes and everything, and I went, wow, okay, thank you. I'm so glad I saw that because now I don't have to go down this rabbit hole. So we need 50 of those videos for every single one of these frauds. And so in Indonesia, right, in another country, you probably have grifters that are targeting your populace, your citizenry, in the language that you speak and regarding issues that are specific to your society. And so we need people in your country to do that, and then in every other country as well, because it's got to be relatable, it's got to be specific to issues that they're going through. And I don't want to pretend there's a recipe, right? You got to find what works for you, the voice that works for you, the formula that works for you. But once you find it, just keep plugging away, right? Find a way to make it at least lucrative enough for you to live off of, and then just go to town, right? It's a grind. I do this every day, all day, but it's fulfilling, and you know, making pretty good money doing it too.
Okay, one last question. Like a lot of your viewers, myself included, come from countries where science often get mixed with tradition or belief. What advice would you give to science communicators working in environments where critical thinking isn't always encouraged?
That's tough. I mean, where it doesn't interfere, I think it can be tolerated or at least ignored. But where it does interfere with critical thinking, I think that has to be pointed out, right? You have to shine a spotlight on that. It will make people very uncomfortable, but I don't know. I mean, every culture is different. Every religion is a little bit different. In my country, the problematic religion is Christianity because that's the majority, and so all of the religious apologist grifters are Christian in nature. So I focus on their myth, their mythology, their propaganda that they're spreading. And so, but I occasionally deal with Muslim apologists, and as it turns out, they're not much different. But so I don't know this. We don't know the specific narratives that are being pushed in Indonesia, but I guess just espousing the merits of critical thinking, right? Showing people need to really understand exactly what science has brought us and how incredible it is, how our lifespan, the average lifespan, has doubled since the turn of the 20th century because of modern science, medicine, right? Antibiotics, vaccines, right? People need to understand how incredible our modern understanding of the natural world is, and that should be inspiring enough without having to look to magic or any kind of other thinking. There's plenty of wonder and amazingness in science. It's all there for you to find if you just take the time to learn about it.
Yeah, that's totally true. I think that's all for today, Prof. Dev. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. Your insights have been incredibly valuable, not just for me personally, but also for many others who are trying to push back against pseudoscience and promote real evidence-based thinking in places where that is not always easy. So your work continues to inspire a lot of us around the world, especially in countries like mine, where science communication can face extra challenges, I think. So I'm truly grateful for everything you've shared today, and I hope more people get to learn from your example. So for everyone who hasn't already, definitely check out Prof. Dave's YouTube channel. He breaks down complex science topics in a way that is very clear, engaging, and super important, especially when it comes to fighting misinformation. So go subscribe and keep learning. Thanks again. It's
Yeah.
been a
Thanks
real
for
honor,
having me.
Dave.